Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's start with the first story. It's called 18 inches. Years ago I worked as a QC coordinator in a boiler shop. My office was really just a desk shoved in the utility room, right next to the electrical meters. Glamorous, I know. One morning the meter reader came in. The usual person, the usual routine. I gave a polite good morning and even offered her a cup of coffee. Her reply? These tables are too close. There has to be at least 18 inches of clearance around the meters, said in a tone of someone who'd just found a crime scene. Well, alright then. Without a word I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the tape measure. Reading codes and specs all day meant I knew exactly how to follow instructions to the millimeter. I walked over to the folding table stacked with customer documentation, extended the tape out exactly 18 inches and pulled the tables back to that precise measurement. Then I calmly sat back down, sipped my coffee and watched. She now had an exact 18-inch wide corridor down the 8-foot stretch between the table and the meters. And wouldn't you know it, she had to squeeze her much larger than 18-inch self down that corridor, slowly, awkwardly, while glaring laser beams at me the whole way. I just smiled and enjoyed my coffee. The next story is called Critical Error. Years ago I landed one of my very first IT contracts. It was meant to be a great learning experience. And boy was it. Unfortunately the place was a dumpster fire of bad management. Bullying, gaslighting, unrealistic demands, you name it. Still I kept my head down and did the work. Toward the end of my 1-year contract I asked about renewal. Their response? No, you're too junior. But before you go, we need you to build a temporary system. Something quick and dirty. The temporary system they demanded? A full-scale solution that would normally require an entire team, months of work and a much bigger budget. I told them it was impossible in the time I had left. Their reply? If you don't finish it, you'll face disciplinary action and we'll make sure you get bad references. Oh, and of course, no extra pay. Because this was just temporary. Real professionals would build the real version later. So I built it. And then some. I poured myself into it. Not because they deserved it, but because it was a massive learning opportunity. And I had a misguided sense of duty. I worked under intense stress, constant bullying and zero gratitude. But I delivered. And it worked. Beautifully. It saved them hundreds of thousands. It generated massive revenue and efficiency gains. It was so good, they scrapped plans for the real version. When my contract ended, they offered me a laughable bonus. Less than my monthly rate. No thanks, no recognition. Just one more reminder that I wasn't a real developer. Except I was. Because from day one, I'd written that temporary system with a little bonus feature of my own. I had set it to lock itself if no valid login occurred after a defined period. When that time expired, the system would crash with the message "Critical error, overclock collision, temporary solution no longer temporary." And that's exactly what happened. I heard through the grapevine that the crash caused major disruption. Turns out they'd gotten so comfy with my temporary system that they never built a new one. Eventually I got a call from the director. Him? Still in his usual tone. "The system's crashed. Fix it." Cheerfully I said, "Sorry, I'm fully booked. No idea what that error means. Must be something your team did. Best of luck." He tried calling again and again. I dodged every time with a polite "boarding a flight" or "in a meeting, can't talk." Never once did they apologize, thank me or even acknowledge their treatment of me. Eventually they hired a real team. 3 devs, 3 times longer, just to recreate what I had done solo in a few weeks, under duress. The third story is called Don't Babysit Me. I work as a project coordinator, which is a fancy way of saying I remind people what they are supposed to be doing so nothing catches fire. My supervisor? let's call him James, is the kind of guy who's great at looking organized. But the second you stop reminding him, total memory wipe. Guy forgets everything. No biggie. I'm used to giving gentle nudges like, hey, just a reminder. That report's due Friday. Except last week, when I gave him that exact heads up, he hit me with, I don't need to be babysat. I know what's on my list. Oh? Alright James, you got it. No more reminders. No more hand-holding. You are in charge now. Friday comes and goes. No report. Monday morning, the director's asking where the report is. James is in full panic mode. He turns to me and says, why didn't you remind me? I just smiled and said, you told me not to babysit you. Silence. Now, every time I send him a reminder, he replies with a cheerful, thanks. Sometimes even adds a smiley. Turns out babysitting is fine, as long as you ask nicely. The next story is called Check the Camera. Back when I was 16, I landed a job at Pizza Hut. I got it because I was dating one of the shift leads. Already a red flag, I know. Let's call him a walking HR violation in sneakers. People either loved him or hated him. Mostly hated him, especially if they had dads who didn't throw remotes across the room. One person who really hated him? Adriana, another shift lead, 20-something, living her best life yelling at teens in her pizza kitchen. I show up around Saturday morning, and Adriana's already losing her mind because my boyfriend called out. News to me. I didn't know he'd bailed. She's ranting about being short-staffed. And since I knew she'd take it out on me, because logic, I texted my boyfriend like, yo, what you call out? Adriana's furious and now I'm the punching bag. Did I expect him to keep the text to himself? Apparently, yes. Because I was 16 and dumb. Instead he ran straight to Adriana and accused her of talking crap. And I became the target. From the back of the store, I hear Adriana just snap. If she has something to say, she should say it to my face. Why are you even with him? All this while I'm sitting in the office, eating my Boston Market mac and cheese, dissociating so hard I could have astral projected. She storms in mid-rant. I just look up, fork in hand, smile politely like a hostage. She keeps going, insults, screaming, ranting about my intelligence, or lack thereof, over his absence, not mine. Then, the golden words. If you don't want to be here, then leave. Because I don't need you. Oh, really? Now, this is all being recorded on the office cameras. She said it, loud, clear, in front of God and Pizza Hut HQ. So I stood up, threw away my half-eaten mac, and walked right out. Enjoyed my Saturday. Adriana tried to get me fired for walking out on my shift. I calmly told the general manager, check the office cameras. Spoiler, she didn't get me fired. Bonus spoiler, she later got fired for assaulting a customer. The last story is called Print Everything. I used to work under a middle manager who treated emails like a personal attack. Anytime we'd send project updates, timelines or questions, silence. If you asked him about it later, he'd acted offended. Like, how dare we expect him to read? Finally, in one of his many booming declarations of leadership, he said, if it's important, print it and hand it to me. I don't read emails. From that moment on, I became a courier of pure chaos. Project updates? Printed. Task lists? Printed. Client emails? Printed. Internal memes I was CC'd on by accident? Printed. I'd walk over to his desk 6 to 8 times a day. Stack of paper in hand like a deranged office librarian. Per your request. Another update. Just as you asked. Can't let you miss this. Printed and ready. His desk started to resemble a landfill made entirely of A4. By the end of week 1, he looked like he was drowning in documentation. Couldn't find anything. Started muttering. Then snapping. Why are you printing all this? You told us to. Remember? If it's important. His eye twitched. 2 weeks in, the entire office received a mass email from him. Going forward, please send all project communication via email only. No printouts. Amazing. The man who doesn't read emails just emailed everyone to say he reads emails now. Guess Outlook finally beat paper. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.